Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you, and let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting the lid, but the enormous weight upon the lid prevents you from opening the lid. You tried banging on the lid to maybe unsettle the dirt, and just, if somebody's standing by your grave, they'll start digging their way down towards you to help you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help, you know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. In reality, there are people standing by your grave. You just don't know that. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you were abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose? You might take your life. And if that's not bad enough, more selfishly, you'll take the life away from people that count and need and want you most. Your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children, your grandchildren. With this, let me leave one last thought. Don't be like the person I'm reading about on these index cards that waits and waits and waits until it's too late. Instead, pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you I'll help you take your life back. For your life is gone. People like Larry Geist, with over 30 years' experience as a life coach and addiction recovery coach, can also help you. You can reach him at 516-458-2741 or www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geist from the Geist Academy will help you from your addiction to your recovery, from depression to happier times, from low self-esteem to higher self-esteem. Call him at 516-458-2741. Folks, do me a favor, and please, when you take your slippers off at night and jump into bed, just push them under your bed. That way, in the morning, you'll be forced to get on your knees to look under the bed to retrieve those slippers. And then while you're on your knees, use that time what I call knee-mail. Not email, but knee-mail. The knee-mail is when you're on your knees and you speak to God. You ask God for guidance and direction, forgiveness and mercy. Thank God for having a home, clothing, food, health, relationship. You ask God to protect you and your family for the rest of your life. Then put those slippers on, stand straight up, and walk with God 24/7. Knee-mail, perfect time every morning to speak to God from your lips to His ears. I'm going to give you 10 reasons you can't stay sober. Let me say that again. Cannot stay sober. Why are some people ready to get and stay sober, but others are not? I can't say that I've ever tried to intentionally get sober before June 21st, 2013. But there were times when I attempted not to drink for a week or two, or just have a few drinks when I went out. But it obviously didn't work. Some problem drinkers return to drinking several times even after having an extended period of time living a sober life. What causes these relapses? Why are there some people ready to get and stay sober, but others cannot? There are plenty of reasons why sobriety might not stick the first time around, but here are 10 reasons you cannot stay sober. First one is FOMO. That's F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. This is one of the main reasons I continued to drink for so long, despite knowing that it was detrimental to my life. I was afraid that every party night out at a bar or concert I missed was me missing out on a good time because everybody was getting drunk and I wanted to be part of that. I thought that's the only way I could have a good time. I heard countless stories of people who returned to using because it's just to get over the fear of missing out. Number 2 is the why me syndrome. It's not unusual to have perpetual why me syndrome when getting sober. I constantly wallowed in self-pity, asking myself why I was one who couldn't drink normally. Why did I have to be an alcoholic? Why do I have to be the one who misses out on all the fun and drinking with friends? Sometimes these thoughts can weigh you down so heavily that it causes you to drink again. Many people try to prove that they are not the odd one out and that they don't have to be subjected to life without alcohol. Sobriety requires you accept the life is the way it is, and drinking isn't part of that life, and it's not even an option. Number 3, you haven't been in enough pain. This is a big one. In active addiction, we experience intense levels of pain, and sometimes we don't understand how much pain we've been until we find recovery and reflect back on it. I am often asked how I was able to just quit on the day of June 22nd, 2013. My answer is always the same. The pain was too great. I was truly experienced my moment of clarity, and I knew I could not go on living how I've been living with the fact of drinking. I was spiritually, emotionally, and physically broken down. The pain was so great that I finally had to change my ways. If your pain is still manageable, you might not be ready for sobriety yet. Number 4, you still believe you can drink in moderation. Obviously, if you believe you can drink moderately, sobriety is in the cards for you at this particular moment. I've heard many of substance abusers who believe they can return to a normal life even after having some sobriety and learn how to use drinking in moderation. This may work for some, but I don't think it will work for me. For me, it's like playing with fire. I don't want to find out because I don't want to get burned. The back and forth of attempting to drink normally, of regulating and policing yourself, could be the reasons you cannot stay sober. Number 5, thinking about never drinking again scares you. Before I decided to quit drinking, sobriety was a concept that I could not wrap my brain around. I didn't understand, or I didn't want to understand, and frankly, never drinking again terrified the hell out of me. Forever is a long time. I think it's a good idea, and an idea keeps people from sobriety each and every day. We automatically put time constraints on ourselves when we should really just be thinking about today. One of the most well-known sayings in sobriety is, one day at a time, and that is true. We only have today. When I stopped drinking, I honestly didn't know how long it would last, but I just kept going. One more day, and here we are probably at over 1,000 days already. Number 6, you are physically addicted. This can be a serious issue. If you are physically addicted to alcohol or other drugs, it can keep you sick for a very long time, and it's a vicious cycle of using, and you will never end not using. That's why it's so important to understand the debilitating effects drugs can have on your body. If using drugs is allowing you to get through everyday life on a physical level, something is wrong. You do not have to live that way. There are treatment programs, professionals who can help you become free of these substances. Number 7 is you feel unworthy. Addiction can break us down and tear us apart. I know when I was at my worst, I felt unworthy at my core. I felt unworthy of love, help, recovery, etc. It's not unusual to feel that way, and you don't deserve to have a life that way. But it's very imperative that you know that this is untrue and can be result of being your brain being affected by your addiction. It took a year for me to truly believe I was worthy of a better life and to really feel that recovery was for me after I hit rock bottom. Number 8, lack of tools. When I was actively drinking, my toolbox consists of one thing, alcohol. Whether I was happy, sad, angry, or celebrating, alcohol was my go-to coping mechanism. It helped me numb my emotion I was feeling. In recovery, I've had the opportunity to learn new, healthy coping skills that work. When we try sobriety, but we don't yet have these new skills, it's possible that in our eyes, returning to use is our only option. But sobriety can offer you a way to deal with life on life's terms without drinking or using. It is possible to stay sober through anything. Number 9, unrealistic expectations. It would be silly for us to think sobriety will solve all our problems. It's absolutely never going to happen that way. But when we are lacking hope about life in general, it is unusual to set some unrealistic expectations of how life will be in recovery. If we do this, we can become disappointed when life doesn't go our way. Staying sober with this mindset is difficult. It is important that we understand that life is still going to happen when we feel the pain, anger, and most sadness. But we aren't and won't have to deal with it with a bottle. Number 10, you're not ready for sobriety. Sobriety takes addiction and work, and it's a dedication that you have to stick with your addiction and a lot of work. It's a lifelong process that sometimes takes years to understand and sustain. If you can't stay sober, it may mean that you're just not ready, that you haven't hit rock bottom yet, folks, but it doesn't mean that you should not that you should stop trying. When you become ready and willing, sobriety is out there for anyone to take a grasp. I recommend you keep reaching for it, no matter how many times it takes to stick in your mind. Keep reaching. Every time you have a relapse, do it again. And I hope that these 10 reasons that you cannot stay sober are reasons enough for you to become sober, and may God bless you.